Hello, everybody. This is Adela Lavine. I am your house medium. This is the house medium. Okay, so if any of you follow me on social, then you may know that this week has sucked. It's only Monday. I'm recording this on a Monday, the day before you're probably hearing this. I'm putting lip gloss on. Let me tell you, those of you, oops, that's my lip gloss rolling, kind of moving things around. Those of you who don't know, I am based out of the LA area. And if you've been under a rock, then, or maybe you just don't give a shit, I don't know. But here in LA, we've been having some really nasty situations going on. And it has not felt good. I'm a seer, I'm a reader, and energy wise, it has sucked. And if you have not been paying attention, you may not be aware that there's been protests going on here. There has been deportations going on here. ICE has come and deporting people who are not criminals and all kinds of things. And I know that people feel that as a seer and as a spiritual person, I'm supposed to be somewhat, I guess, neutral in how I feel, but I believe in people. I am a helper of people. I will help people, period, no matter what. But I'm a humanitarian and I do believe in treating people with decency. And that is not what's been displayed here in LA. With that said, as we speak, the Marines have been called out here. I am here and I will tell you there's not a craziness going on. There is no need for it. We are not sitting here scared for our lives. So that should tell you something. With that said, I want to be clear that I will always speak up. I will always speak my mind. And I want to remind you that as a spiritual person, spirituality is supposed to be used to speak for people in difficult times, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of hell. That's what you use it for. See this book behind me that I wrote, Seer, the origin story? It's all about that. It's all about me using my sight to deal with all of the shit I went through. It is not about living in this neat little space and floating above it. So, this is where we're at. I'm not going to go into the Medium Brew Cafe today because I'm not in the mood, if you haven't noticed. However, I will say that I am excited about some news that I'm going to be sharing soon. A new project that I'm working on. I think you guys are going to be very surprised by it. And I also feel like you guys are going to really love it. So if you made it this far and you didn't turn me off, then you will hear it here first. Well, I'm not going to tell you what it is here first, but I can tell you, I think you guys are going to really be excited about as much as I am. However, today I want to do an episode on a movie that I'm obsessed with, and that is the movie Sinners. And I want to do it. I want to talk about what this movie represents, because if it's ever fitting, it is now, for one. For two, there's witchcraft in there, there's hoodoo and voodoo, and there's a lot of things that are very, very, very spiritual. And it is definitely has vampires in it. And I'm going to say this right now. Spoil alert. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to give you a blow by blow, but I am going to be talking about things. You know what I mean? I'm looking for, right now, if you see me, I'm like, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, Sound effect. I want a spoiler alert sound effect. I get Oh god, that was too loud. Thank God you guys can't hear it. That one was loud too, but I like it. So, I just wanna warn you that I'm not gonna, like, give you a play-by-play, of what this, movie's about. Um, but obviously, I'm gonna talk about things that may spoil it. So, here you go.
Spoilers!
Okay? There you go.
Spoilers! Spoilers!
Okay.
Spoilers!
So Okay, so here's the thing. We're gonna go over what this movie is really entailing. Now, I could be happy to add a segment to this podcast about movies and, I did Poltergeist, but I really was doing it about the house. It wasn't so much about the movie, but I don't mind doing stuff like, how does this movie work? How did it work? Like, what was real? What wasn't real? You know what I mean? If you guys want me to do a segment like that, if anyone would ever talk to me, because I never hear from you guys, I would be happy to do that. So I am doing that on this because honestly, I really feel at these times, I need you to go see this movie because it is a movie that is going to move you in a way that you're going to be shocked about. You're going to feel like lifted. You're going to feel recharged. You're going to feel like, okay, this is what Adela has been talking about. Not that I have to be the main, thing, but you're going to get what I'm saying. I promise you. All right. So let's get into it because, first of all, the movie has music and it has blues music. And I grew up on soul and I grew up on gospel music. And this music kind of pulls you up. And the big element of this movie, and I did get some help from Chat, my good friend Chat, which maybe you guys are like, Adela, don't let us listen to Chat. But I'm not. Let's first start off with the hoodoo. It's mostly hoodoo with a little bit of voodoo in there too, for sure, because they even have a dance and someone in mask. But there is the idea of using hoodoo. And what's the difference? Hoodoo and voodoo, the difference is it's not the type of magic I teach. Hoodoo and voodoo say, we will do magic to get whatever we want. And if it bounces up back on me and I get a little dusty from it, I get a little, push back. I get a little, you know what I mean? Like if it hits me and affects my life, so be it. They don't care. Like by any means necessary in magic, basically. Like we're going to get what we want. And they don't feel like they need to give permission. They don't feel like they need to ask your permission. Meaning like if they want to read you, if they want to put energy onto you, if they want to cleanse you, any of those things, they will just start doing it. I'll tell you a quick little story about my experience with people in voodoo and hoodoo. People in voodoo always get really drawn to me. They see that I'm a natural seer. I went once to Amazon grocery store, Amazon Fresh, and I was just trying to buy some chips. And I noticed this man was very painted. He had dreads and everything, but his face had like painting and writing. Like it was a lot. It wasn't just like a normal makeup. He had like symbolisms and stuff. And I just had a feeling he was very spiritual. So I was like, he's going to probably talk to me. And I'm going, I don't know if I want to talk to him. Okay. So I try to just quickly do my thing. I'm like, I'm just going to like get these chips and go. And I look up at him. And I said, oh, I'm going to use my card, my Amazon card. And he looked up from his cash register and looked at me and went, you're a seer. Okay. You see behind me, for those of you that are listening, you don't see behind me. My book, Seer, The Origin Story, hadn't written it yet. And he said, you're a natural born seer. And he immediately, I said, yes. And he took my hand and just started doing some incantation on me. pretty much a prayer and a blessing. And that's the thing that people don't understand, is that people who are into hoodoo and voodoo, they may not be religious in the Christian sense, but they do kind of do these kind of prayers and incantation. And he took my hand while I'm standing in line. And I said, yeah, I'm a seer. And he said, I said something like, it's hard. It's kind of a lonely path. He said, well, we're here for everyone else. We're here to help our ancestors. And that's our job. Almost like that's their view too. They almost have a viewpoint of like, get over it. Like, do your work, do what you need to do. Like, what do you, come on. I have developed that, but they are very much like that. And then he took my hand, did an incantation. And that's hoodoo and voodoo. It's very much like, we're going to give you what we think. Okay. So I'll read to you what chat said. Hoodoo, spiritual symbolism, because this is in the movie. There is a hoodoo, like she's a worker. She works the roots. She's about protection, protecting people, putting a mojo bag. And a mojo bag is when you put stuff into the bag. When I worked at a witch store, they would do mojo bags all the time for me. And you could put it on your altar, but you could also wear it around you, either way. Okay. So I'm going to change a little bit of the music. Hold on, everybody. So the mojo bag in the movie, it starts off where we don't really know what's going on, right? Like, we don't really know what's happening totally. And this man, we just see him go visit someone, and she starts talking about how she's giving him, like, she's been protecting him his whole life and he doesn't realize it. Like, in other words, she's like, he basically is like, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in all this, like, witchy spirits. He called monsters, because you have to remember there's vampires in this movie, but it's not the main thing. Again,
Spoilers! Spoilers! Spoilers!
So he's like, I don't believe in all of that. He's like, this, like, I don't believe in, like, they kind of see it like, that's my grandma and great grandma, and this, like, old people way of thinking, almost like those are tales, tall tales. It doesn't really, like, mean anything. And she's like, well, I did this mojo bag. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by trying to make sure the music's not too loud. She's like, I did this mojo bag for you and it protected you. And he's like, oh. So he doesn't know what he thinks. And she does, like, a total, like, spell where she takes oils and she's working a spell, and she's doing a prayer, and she's creating a mojo bag because she's refreshing. Because she's like, well, it worked on you. But he asks a good question, because there's somebody, and I won't give it all away. Somebody that he lost it. He's like, well, what about that? And this is always the case when it comes to when you do witchcraft, or you do magic, or you're a seer. People always say things like this, like, well, it should have worked on everything, right? Like, they kind of see it like, if it's real, then there should be nothing wrong. There should be no pain. You know what I mean? Like, there should be a way to avoid everything. And she's like, no, I don't know why it didn't, but it has worked for you. Okay. So this is hoodoo. Hoodoo is Southern. It's come from the South, and this movie takes place in Mississippi. And it is Southern voodoo, basically. But it is coming from the history of people when they came here over from Africa. And this is the thing that I think is very special, is that when they were ripped here, when they were stolen and imprisoned and enslaved and all of that. But what I think is so important that I really liked about this is that this is part of their history. This is their history, right? The history of their people and their land, and voodoo and things like this was the way until missionaries say, oh, this is bad. You got to believe in God. You got to believe in Jesus. People got to remember there were all types of continents and countries that were doing just fine, doing their own thing, believing in what they believed in, and then were pulled away from it. So note that, because it's very important that it was the idea of, like, getting pulled away from their roots. And she kept saying the word roots. She's like, I'm working with the roots, what that means, the herbs, the earth, the ancestors, and creating the mojo bag. Hoodoo, rooted in African American and Choctaw Choctaw traditions intertwines with the film. Blues music, herbal remedies, spiritual protection. These elements are authentically portrayed with the help of Dr. Yvonne Charu acting as a cultural consultant. So the one thing that was amazing about this movie is they used consultants for everything. They did not leave any stone unturned in the details, and it shows. Okay. The Crossroads is symbolism tied to Robert Johnson and blues lore, mirrors characters' moral. So there's a lore. In this movie, there's a young man who plays the blues that can, basically this music can conjure spirits and can conjure spirits from the future, the past, and the present, and it can evoke, right? And if you know anything about me, I have been talking about how music evokes. When people say to me, how do I get in touch with the other realm? How do I get in touch with the spirit realm? How do I get in touch with my intuition? I always say, play music. Listen to music because it's vibrational. It will vibrate you. It will vibrate your soul and it will take you to that realm. It will lift you. This is how you meet them. So this character was a young man who played the blues, but no one knew he was playing this guitar so well. There is a lore of somebody who went to the Crossroads. He left, he wanted to play guitar, left, went to the Crossroads, came back, and was this amazing blues. So the lore is that he made a deal with the devil to be an amazing blues, guitar player. Although I remember finding out that they definitely found out that's not what happened, that he actually found someone who taught him how to play guitar, and he stayed there and learned with that person and then came back. But, the other version is much more enticing. Christian institutions are depicted in the film, but the film critiques their historical role in demonizing African-based spiritual practices, privileging ancestral wisdom instead. So this is a problem when it comes to the idea of witchcraft, where it's like black witchcraft versus white witchcraft, because black witchcraft is usually a racist term because it is coming from people who bring the witchcraft from like Africa, voodoo and stuff. So of course it's okay if we do crystals and incense and we spin around and say love and light, but not okay if it is based off of these roots and places, and then it's deemed as black witchcraft. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So now the vampires in there. The vampires, as a metaphor, vampires and sinners aren't just monsters. They are algorgal. So there's an Irish vampire, and here we go. I'm about to go in.
Spoilers! Spoilers! Spoilers!
Okay. You're like, Adela, you're making this movie sound so good. I haven't seen it. I want to go see it. Turn it off and then come back after you've seen the movie. You can get it on Prime. It is on Prime. Remick is the Irish vampire, and he frames the vampirism as a tool for escaping racism. Okay, so this is what I saw. When I saw this movie, I saw very clearly it's an all-black cast, and the vampires are white. And he's from Ireland, though. And it's kind of about like he's the temper. But he's also kind of angry too, because as we know, Irish people have been, they have also been oppressed and wronged and all these things. So he kind of has this dual thing of like, basically talking about Christianity and missionaries. They come and they promise you all this and they sing songs with you and tell you the Lord's Prayer, but they don't really, they're just taking you away from your roots. And he is pulled towards Sammy, who is the blues guitar player genius, pulled while he plays this music. And there's a scene, it's called The Scene. It is a scene that, trust me, when you see the scene, it will transform you. It will transform you. It will wake you up and you'll go like, damn. And this is what everybody called The Scene. And in this scene, he's drawn to Sammy. And Sammy, to me, is very much like what I say, that Whenever I try to tell people that when you see musicians on stage and you see people crying and going crazy and they're sweating and they're freaking out over this singer, it's not them, it's the vibration. The vibration is hitting you and you are feeling it, and you're feeling it rise in your being. And you get obsessed on the person, but it's what they are being conduits between the worlds. I have said this for years and years. They are conduits between the worlds, and they have the same ability I do as a medium to communicate, but they're doing it through music. So of course, this vampire who is dead, remember vampires represent the dead, gets drawn to him and is basically like, you can bring me to my old people, which meaning like, you can help me see my ancestors and people that have died. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so ultimately the film warns at such power. So he's also coming and he's kind of saying, hey, we're bringing fellowship and love. And as soon as I said that, what does it remind you of? Christianity, missionaries saying, hey, we're here to give fellowship and love. And they start playing music, but their music is very, it's not the blues. It's not the blues. And this music I'm playing doesn't even come close to what is in the movie. In the movie, it is amazing. But they're like, hey, we want to like spend money. And they know that they are sharecroppers. So everyone who's coming to this club is sharecroppers. And if you don't know, sharecroppers at the time, once slavery ended, they were like, oh, you can't really get real jobs, but you could still work in the plantation, but we're not going to give you green money so that you can leave the plantation. We're going to give you basically like play money that you can only spend here at the plantation store or things around. It's basically like credit, and it's not like real green money. So it gives them the illusion that they're free and they're working, but they're still pretty much enslaved. And these two guys decide to open up a juke joint, and they're to call the Twins, and it's Stack and Smoke Twins. And all the names and even the people all represent the different symbols of sins in the Bible, like sloth and greed and all this type of stuff. So they're like, hey, we just came from Chicago where we saw people live differently there. And they did a little dirty work and got some cash and got some liquor. And they're like, we're going to open our own juke joint, which at the time was basically the same as opening a disco or a club. And they're like, we will be here. And we are going to bring this amazing thing to our own people. The problem is most of the people only had this sharecropper money, and they didn't have cashola, which the brothers wanted. They were like, well, we need to like make money that we can go. However, go anywhere with. So in comes this vampires, and they come up and say, hey, and they can know because the main vampire knows, hey, I know you're not making money and I have gold, and he shows them gold. So it's about the temptation of, conform, right? Just come on in. It's like the idea of like, just let us in and let us get to your music, to your culture, to everything that you're doing. Let us infiltrate your world. Let us take from you, and we'll give you this, and life will be better for you. It's like promises, very similar to what has always happened. And if you're familiar in the Black community, music has always been stolen, but it's more than that. It's like, let us take your soul, right? So we're vampires. We're going to take your soul, which represents we're going to take the soul of who you are, and then we'll all live in peace and harmony. Because he knows that the KKK didn't ever go anywhere, that the juke joint they created was never intended to really be successful. So he's kind of playing on them, saying, they never were going to help you, but we can. Okay, so The themes of racism, oppression, and resistance set in the Jim Crow era Mississippi, the film doesn't shy from depicting racism, brutality from the land, theft, segregation to the KKK. Sinner stands out for making Black history its core. Vampirism amplifies rather than obscures that context. Song and blues performance are presented as an act of rebellion, culture resilience. Now, the thing that was amazing about this movie was all the little things. Like, for instance, when Sammy's about to play the scene that I'm describing, and he's like getting a talk to from an older blues guy who kind of has a drinking problem because he's seen a lot and been through a lot, and he's just like, life's rough. But he's wise, and he tells him, like, the blues is ours. It's ours. It's from our culture. It's from our roots, where we come from. It's not the religious things that they, put on us. And because of that, you create magic. You can speak to people in a way that, will speak to them into their soul. And so I felt like that was just such a perfect thing to kind of explain, like, listen, this is ours. This has happened a lot. Blues music, in rock and roll, things like this was taken. People don't realize rock and roll was a lot in clubs by Black artists. So it was also kind of speaking of, hold on to your soul, be ethical, hold on to your soul. Don't sell your soul. So the other thing I thought was really awesome is that there's a scene where the character Smoke takes off the mojo, and what happens to him after he takes the mojo off. And all of these little things is about the idea of protection when you do protection spells. And if you do any kind of magic or you work in this world, you realize that people don't realize that if you're someone who does magic like me, you're always doing protection. You're always creating magic. And people don't even realize. They're like, do you realize how we got this? I've been working on this. And that's how I felt so much for her when she was telling him, like, do you realize what I've been doing for you? Like, do you realize my magic does work? You just don't see it. And it's also the idea of, like, open up and see a world between the worlds. So it's also about, I feel like what was so special about this movie is that people kind of kept commenting that they were going to see the movie more than once, and they didn't understand why. I saw the movie twice in the theater, twice on Prime, and I will definitely watch it again. And I think it's because it feeds your soul, but also it's the same thing I've done with people, where when people used to come to me in person in class, I would, do this music and help them raise their vibration. And people would say to me, I feel like I'm addicted to this. And I said, yeah, because it gets addicting. Because when you're raising your vibration, that's what it really means. Raising your vibration means you are lifting yourself to the spirit world. You are going to meet the spirit world halfway. And then you're cleansing and you're recharging. And people come out of there feeling better. And this is what used to happen when I would do this in class. People would get addicted to this part because it would make them feel better. And they would feel like they connect to home. They would feel like they would remember a piece of themselves, and they would be cleaned off. And that is the magic. Now, I know that I gave away a lot of spoilers. I wanted to kind of really talk about this movie because this movie is very special. And with everything going on here in LA and everything that I'm going through, I felt like maybe it was okay to kind of just do a little thing on this and kind of remind us that don't forget to utilize magic. Don't forget to know that the magic is coming from within. It's not coming from without. It's not, the day that you light a candle or when the moon stage is happening. It's not coming from that. It's coming from your soul. And like in the movie, when they very much implement, they kind of weave in the Irish history and music, and you feel the soul of that too, and the magic of that too. So I feel like whatever you're into, whatever speaks to you, use it. Use it as a way to cleanse yourself. Use it as a way to lift yourself, because I'm telling you, you're gonna need it. And of course, go watch Sinners. Go watch it. And if you listen to this whole podcast and you're like, I didn't give away all the things. I'm just saying there's a whole lot I left out on purpose, because I kind of didn't want this to be a total spoiler thing, because I'm pretty positive not everybody has seen this movie. Maybe I'll do a follow-up down the line and say, if you haven't seen it, it's been months by now. Too bad. Too bad. But I wanted to kind of talk about how how people are always so focused on the aesthetics. They're so focused on the rules, and the magic really comes from with you. And I've said this over and over. It comes from your heart. If you don't tune into your heart, if you don't feel things from your heart, then you will not get to how to connect to the other realm, to your ancestors and all of that. All right. In closing, by the time you hear this, I have 2 more days that I'm giving 50% off of all my readings with the code HEART. You have 2 days to take advantage of it. I may bring it back, but it may not be for down the line. So please take advantage of it right now. I think this helped people. People have asked me about mentoring. You can mentor with me. I mentor with people who want to work on their magic. They want to work on their psychic abilities. They want to work on changing their life. I have lots of people on my Patreon that has said that this has helped them a lot. If you're on my Patreon, go check out your speed readings. They are available to you. And the Sacred Scholar, I posted a class on protection and cleansing. Speaking of, and then go see Sinners. Follow yourself, follow no one, listen to your inner voice, and listen for my announcement coming soon on Instagram. See you soon.